You're watching Live Today TV. I'm Randy Robinson, and I have a great guest here. Chonda Pierce is with us, as she has been so many times. But this is the first time you've done one of our special bonus interviews.
And this is pretty stinking awesome.
We don't edit you, well, unless we might edit you. We don't typically edit people.
Well, wait till the higher ups see this. They'll be editing us.
Yeah, well.
How are you, Randy?
I'm doing great. I'm having a lot of fun, doing a lot of fun stuff. But I want to talk enough about me.
But we don't see you on camera. I don't see you on camera as much.
I hide on the web.
Are you liking it?
It's a bigger audience.
Yeah.
I'll leave the smaller broadcast audience to my dad.
To your dad.
So, okay, but now I want to talk about something because you are known as a Christian comedienne.
I am.
In a lot of churches. You've been in a lot of churches. We've seen you around for... Well, just a few years. You're still young. But now you're in Hollywood. You're in movies.
Yeah.
You're on Hallmark Channel?
Yes, I did a movie that was on the Hallmark Channel. And
you're going into clubs where they serve other things?
Alcoholic beverages.
Right, okay, thank you.
You know, it was hard. It has been hard. I have been a stand-up comedian for almost 20 years. And, you know, down through the years, you have that think, well, what if I did get the opportunity to be, you know, on a sitcom? Well, what if I did get the opportunity? And it just never really came about. Times when we would even try to force our way to kind of find some acknowledgement in that side of the tracks, you know, it just never really gelled. It never came to fruition. And then you just get really busy doing what you do. And to tell you the truth, Randy, and you probably can relate to this, you get to a certain place in your career when you know that you've done really kind of all there is to do in your market. And I say market in loose terms because it really is my heart that I give and hope to get to do what I do till Jesus comes. And it's not, my audience is not a market. My audience is really just friends, many girlfriends, and we have grown up together down through the years, and my career has grown as we have grown together. And so it's been really interesting learning that transition and being willing to step through that next doorway. To tell you the truth, you know, it worries some of my fans, my good old, you know, church-loving fans. It worries my mother, you know, don't go out there in that wild world.
I think you're backsliding. Maybe.
Oh yeah, you know, my mother's always like, Hollywood is Sodom and Gomorrah. And I always say, it's not Sodom and Gomorrah. It can be a little toasty, but it's not always Sodom and Gomorrah. And there has to be a really strong surrounding of prayer, of your armor, when you're going in places that you know it is easier to find darkness than it is light. But you know, your dad has been really encouraging to me, to tell you the truth. My pastor's been very encouraging to me. Those times that you think, maybe I ought not be, you know, doing this. And I just got a call about a year ago out of the clear blue. This young man says, you know, I'm Andrew Tenenbaum, and I'm in Hollywood, and I manage, you know, Billy Crystal and Robin Williams, and the firm that he's in, you know, takes care of these. How come you have 4 platinum records and no one in Hollywood's ever heard of you? You know, I mean, it was just like this phenomenal thing. You know, how did you do that without us? And I said, well, if you've never been to a, you know, Baptist potluck, you'd have never heard of me. And lo and behold, they've never been to a Baptist potluck. Yeah. And it just opened up some opportunities to just see, you know, taste and see what the Lord has.
So now you're not doing movies that Christians shouldn't go to, or
oh,
maybe wouldn't
no, are
want
you kidding?
To go to.
I still have kids, you know, that that will see these things. But I'm that church girl. I mean, I'm a God. Believe it or not, I'm a godly woman, but I am a woman that is after God's heart. I still want to glorify Him in all things, you know, from standing in line at the grocery store to what I do for a living. And so there has already been, in this just short test into the Hollywood market, there's already been challenges where I had to go, no, I appreciate that, but I'm not interested in that, or I just wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. And it was like that at first going into comedy clubs. Now, the only reason I do the comedy club once in a while is because in the Hollywood world, this is for what I'm learning, some of the shows like the Jay Leno shows and some of those late night shows, the people that set you up to be in those shows, this is where they come and see you. Sure. So they can see what set you would do. Yeah, what bit you would do. And they choose what material of yours they want to have on their show. So they come to see you, this is where you work. Well, that's hard for me because the bits and the things that, and the jokes that I would tell on the Jay Leno show, for instance, I think would work. But they don't work so great in a late night club where you're the fifth comedian and everyone's been so filthy, and that's what the audience is used to, and the glasses are clanging and the beer's sloshing, and then I'm going to get up and tell a joke about potluck, or I'm going to get up and talk about menopause, and so you see the eyes roll and the audience is going, but the powers that be are going, oh yeah, that's funny, that'll be perfect for TV.
Okay.
But it is really hard for someone who walks into a room and is very used to trying to please an audience or give an audience what they came to see. I know that in some of those places, I cannot give them what they may have come to see.
Right.
But what I'm learning, a true professional and a one who loves comedy, I tell you who told me this is people like Whoopi Goldberg and Wanda Sykes. They have told me funny is funny. Yeah. And you should be able to get a laugh from that crowd, irregardless of the word choice or blah, blah. Right. And I've been commended by a lot of people that pats me on the back and says, you know what, it is harder to get a laugh keeping your material clean and at high standard to your own moral compass.
Oh, I know a comedian who has traveled, where he's run with the whole pack.
Yeah.
And you know him too.
Yeah.
And he says clean comedy is the hardest comedy.
Yeah. It's really interesting because I was watching, it's been several weeks now, but I was watching, is it CBS This Morning or one of those interview shows, that comes on a Sunday morning. And they were interviewing Chris Rock. And I thought it was so interesting that his stand-up is, he uses the F word, not faith,
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. His subject matter is, things I would not choose to talk about. But however, he says if he had to do it over again, he would have started clean and stayed clean because he said the money is in the clean.
Really?
And I've had a lot of, for the lack of a better word, secular comics who do not profess Christ, who tell me all the time that they wish they could play cleaner now because corporate America and a lot of the places, like I've just got back from Afghanistan doing a USO tour, a lot of corporations and people are trying to find good cleaner in entertainment. Of course, now my mother still thinks I'm pretty raunchy.
It's all
but you can't please the mothers.
It's all subjective, isn't it?
And that is hard. Comedy is always subjective, and that's hard.
It is. Are you running into situations where your faith comes out, or that people go and, are you a Christian? I mean, you run into that kind of deal, for better or worse?
Yeah, for better or for worse. And I will say, sometimes the worst of it is when they hear that you're a Christian, they assume you're not going to be all that funny.
Yeah.
And so that's hard, because then they've already collected in their thinking, this is going to be soft.
No, she's funny for a Christian comedian.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Sure.
What I love to do is surprise people and be funny, and then they find out I'm a Christian, and they'll go, oh, that explains why she didn't use this word, or she doesn't talk about that, or, but for the most part, when I walk in a room especially with a bunch of comedians in the Hollywood world, I'm just a comedian, and to tell you the truth, at this point in my life, people said, why do you call yourself a Christian comedian? I said, well, when I discovered I wasn't going to burn in hell, I was so excited. I just plastered Christian everywhere, you know what I mean? And now I see that sometimes it can be limiting to you because people have a preconceived notion, and that's sad, because we wouldn't hear that a comedian is Jewish and then already have a preconceived notion that he's not going to be that funny. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't hear that a comedian is Hindu and, he's not going to be that funny, he's Hindu.
They have those?
Yes, I don't know. but for some reason, Christian gets that banner of, second best, a second rate. And I hate that part of it, which means if you do call yourself a Christ follower, you have to work doubly hard sometimes.
But you still do.
But you still do. Yeah, absolutely. For one thing, the Bible just says, if you lift me up before all men, I'll lift you up to the Father. And so, that's a big deal to me. Yeah. And my Christianity is not something I live for my market. It is me. It is who I am.
It's bigger than your Hollywood career.
Oh, yeah. And I've been in situations where they say, can you just not talk about Jesus? And I said, well, I'll do my best, but if he comes to my heart and my mind, it's just going to come out of my mouth. So does other things.
Good for you. Yeah. Check out Chonda Pierce on Life Today at lifetoday.org, and thank you for spending a few moments with us.
Thank you, Randy. Take care of yourself.